I know. Hey people, Scott Faye again with the Loserbago. Well, Scott again with the Loserbago and Faye's over there.
Hello.
Hey peeps. How y'all doing tonight? Hope the world's been treating you alright. I really do. So, had some inquiries. I've always gotten these inquiries. People always want to know when they meet me or like they talk to us in person about my injuries. So,
I'm sorry.
would you like the bag of chips?
No.
Are you sure? Because
I'm sorry.
anyway, sorry people, we're just like screwing with each other a little bit. Alright, so I'll give a brief rundown of my physical conditions. But I mean, like, I can't get into everything. Like, I just can't. Because, like, it would take too darn long. Because I've been an idiot my entire life. Like, so, like, when we start doing, like, live chats, we'll probably, like, we'll be able to answer a lot of more one-on-one questions, of whatever it is. But for now, I'll just, like, blast through, see what I can get through here. Alright, so I guess we'll start off when I was 18 months old. First day I started walking. It's a pretty good one. I was in our old house, our old farmhouse, and I was 18 months old. My brother he's about 2 years older than me. But I'm not sure where he was or what he was up to. My mom was in the kitchen. I know that. Dad was in the driveway right outside the kitchen door. He was out there cutting wood with a double bladed axe. Technically, if he's got one blade, it's only a hatchet. So, big old axe. Luckily, he had, just sharpened it. And, so I'm sitting there, bouncing against the screen door, just kind of bouncing on it. And, door ends up popping open. And I go waddling on out. Because that was really, like, the first time I really, like, walked or ran or anything. Like, up until then, I was kind of crawling around. And I could stand up against stuff. But I wasn't really walking yet. So, my first time going 10 feet. Dad swung back the axe. Caught me right across the forehead. It took me from right about here, right across to right behind this ear. Shaved off the top of this eye. So, kind of like a hard-boiled egg that has that flat spot, where the little air pocket is. This eye on the top has a flat spot. So, I can look up fairly decent. But looking down, like, my eye gets stuck right underneath the ridge. So, I turn my head a lot. I move my whole body when I look at things because I don't like having to push my eye back in and get it to unlodge. Oh, yeah. Warning. This video might contain graphic stories. Maybe I should have started with that. Yeah, well. So, I have a pretty good chunk that's missing right here in my skull, right above this eye. Right where it came across. And yeah, it's something that people sometimes like to sit there and just run their finger back and forth on and feel. But I don't really mind, you know, as long as you don't poke me in the eye. I don't tend to mind too much. As long as it's, you know, as long as I know it's going to happen. I don't like people just walking up going, "Hey, how you doing?" But, you know, pretty much all of my friends have sat there and fingered my skull.
You should have put it like that.
Maybe I shouldn't put it like that, but I like putting it like that. It's funnier that way. So yeah, I tend to move around more than most people, but then again, it's because I don't like turning my eyes, because that flat spot kind of, you know, makes it a little difficult. So when I'm like doing projects, sometimes it's like I have to sit there and deal with it and like push it back in a couple of times during a project. So it's one of those things, you know. Also, you know, you're always going to see me with a little bit of a scowl on my face, but I live with a certain amount of pain every day. It's just part of life, you know. But let's move on to the next major one.
You don't get too gory on this one. It's pretty gory.
Okay. Let's move on to my other eye. I'm skipping over some broken bones in between and whatnot. Let's see where we're at. Okay. We got enough time to throw a few in there.
Okay.
Alright. Let's go to when I was 3. And my brother was out back at the old farmhouse. We had a big stack of railroad ties out there. And like, I couldn't tell what was bothering him, but he was over there with a stick poking at something, and he started getting stung up, and he started screaming, and I was out back in a t-shirt and a diaper with my wiffle ball bat, and so I ran on over there, and then we both started getting stung because he was poking at a wasp nest. So, like, you know, I'm an idiot. I didn't think to run. I didn't think to, like, do anything other than just beat the crap out of that friggin' wasp nest with that wiffle ball bat. So I just sat there just whacking at it. Just going to town. More, you know, more I got stung, the more I smacked them. I ended up with over 200 wasp stings. I was just covered everywhere. And ever since then, I've been allergic as all get out to bees of any kind. Not that that was like a big injury. It's just, that's a fun one. So, moving on to my left eye. When I was 8 years old, my brother was out back practicing bow and arrow, archery, and my mom was in making lunch. So she told me to go out and get my brother. So I was like, man, I rolled my eyes. You know, I was a little punk ass kid. So she got a little bit more stern with me, and she's like, Scott, go get your brother for lunch. And I'm like, all right. So I went out, go around the corner of the house. And instead of walking all the way out there, I was being a little shit, you know. As soon as I rounded the corner, I just yelled his name as loud as I could. I was like, Sean! And right at that moment, he was like full pulled back, aiming at the, you know, the target. And as soon as he heard his name, he looks over, and when he did, accidentally, the arrow let loose. It wasn't aimed directly at me. You have to give credit there more to the swing set that ricocheted it over, that brought it the rest of the way into my direction. And it was an absolute bullseye right into my pupil. So I have a 3-way split that looks like a Y, like dead center in that eye. Went through the eye, into the skull, 6 millimeters into the brain. And from there, I spent basically the next 2 years with reconstructive surgery, putting that eye back together. Altogether, I think I had 9 surgeries where the eye had to come back out. And they had to do more work on the eye and the retina and all of that. That tame enough?
Yeah.
It was still getting it out?
Yeah.
Okay. Leaving out a lot of bloody, gory details. Most of you probably don't want to hear that kind of stuff anyway. So, yeah, up until, I don't know, several years ago, I could still see out of that eye. It's not a false eye or anything. It's my real eye. It's kind of like looking through an old, it was like looking through an old projector with no focusing lens on it. It was just all just white all the time. Any light whatsoever, that eye picked it up because it had no iris. It couldn't block any light at all. So I could see in the dark great. Like growing up, like I was that kid in the woods that if there was one star in the sky, I was fine. You know, like you couldn't like play tag with me at night because I was going to get you. You know, like I had cat vision. It was actually kind of cool. So, and no, I don't hold any grudges against my brother because, you know, it's not like that was on purpose. It was a complete accident. Things happen in life. That's one of them things. You know? I've never had one day where I ever blamed him or like felt any kind of way about it. Very much on the contrary. I've always been thankful for my injuries. I know that might sound weird, but it is what it is. I mean, they're what make me who I am. You know? Like, I've had grown men when I was a little kid telling me that, like, they wouldn't know how to handle half the crap I've been through. And that's just when I was a little kid still. So, like, I'm not complaining at all. You know, like, with all the injuries I've had, I should be one hamburger looking up Frankenstein's, monster. But hey, somehow I'm still pretty.
You're still cute and handsome.
So, anyway. The next, major one? Would have to be when I rolled my car. I was 16. And I had just finished rebuilding this 1975 Plymouth Duster. I mean, it was snow white, black vinyl top, black interior, wood grain accents, and I had been waiting for the rear seat to come in, and I had just gotten it that day. So I was able to put my back seat in. I put in like the side panels on the inside because I was waiting until the seat was in before I put them in. I finished up a bunch of stuff on it, and I was all kinds of happy about it. So I went and picked up my girlfriend at the time, and we went up to Main Street in Newark, Delaware, and we weren't really going to cruise Main Street. We went and stopped by my cousin's house, who lives like right around the corner from Main Street. I went to go show it off, but he wasn't there, so I was like, all right, man, I'll stop by like tomorrow or something. So we turned around, we left, We're coming back down, leaving Newark, and there was a line of traffic just going up to Main Street, but there wasn't really much traffic going away from Main Street, so we were just rolling. I had a state cop behind me, so I wasn't speeding, but I wasn't worrying about him being back there because I had a good license. The car was fine, everything was fine. Then we come up to White Clay Center, this industrial complex, and there was a car waiting to cross over because he wanted to head up towards Main Street. And right as we got right to where you could turn into the place, this friggin' idiot pulls out in front of me and couldn't get into the lane going the other way, so he just pulls out and stops. So I whipped the car to the side, and I slid it out a bit. I was almost about to hit him, so I whipped it the other way to bring my ass end around. And I just barely missed hitting him. But then I was aiming towards the telephone pole, so I had to whip it around the other way again. And when I did, I came sideways right up against a 1.5 foot tall curb, which just flipped my car. There's a embankment that went down about 8 feet, and my car ended up probably about 20 spaces in the parking lot from where it went airborne. It completely broke the back axle, broke the front A-arm off, ripped that car to shreds. There wasn't one panel on that car that wasn't just tin foiled. When it when I initially hit the curb, the car kind of crumpled over the curb, and I hit the grass with the side of my head out my driver's side window. I literally had grass and dirt impacted up into my ear from that impact. And that's right after that is where the car started to flip. Airborne style. And when it came to a stop, the cop that was behind me also had a hard time not hitting the guy. But then he had a decision to make. That guy took the frig off, and the cop could either go after him or tend to us. Thank goodness, instead of like giving a crap about giving the guy a ticket, he decided to, stick around and tend to us. So I ended up climbing up out the passenger window and helping her up out of the car. The officer helped take her down off the side of the car. We managed to walk back up to his cruiser, and when we got up there, a good 80 to 100 feet away, as soon as I sat down in the front seat of his car is when I blacked out. I woke up a few times periodically in the ambulance and in the hospital. And to make a long story short, during the impact, I had 2 vertebrae that spun around to the front. One of the furthest spinal cord twists that they had seen at Christiana Hospital up to that point. They ended up putting me in a halo, which is where they kind of just drill into your skull and they separate your skull up from your body with this big old apparatus. And it took a couple days for the vertebrae to work themselves back around. And during that, they kept coming in, and at that point, they were convinced that I had a death wish. So they had brought, a couple of priests in, and they wanted to talk to my parents about it because they were convinced that me and my brother both had a death wish. But we didn't. We were fine. We were just lucky. Or some people would say unlucky. Who knows? It all depends on which way you look at things in life. I choose to look at it in a more positive way. A lot of people, they tried to tell me that there was 100% chance that I was going to be partially paralyzed. They told me it was 90% that it was going to be from the neck down. But they were guaranteeing my parents that I was never walking again. Meanwhile, they're trying to tell me this, and I could periodically wiggle my toe. Like my big toe, I could get it to twitch, And that alone told me that if there's signal going from here all the way down to the very furthest part of my body, I ain't hearing it. Because that means there's still a connection. And if there's a connection, I can make the rest of it work. Because I'm thick-headed, and I've got a stronger will than they have knowledge. So that's all it means. That's all it takes for me. So yeah, I'm always fidgeting. part of that is from the back of my skull down to just past my shoulder blades. I've got pins and needles all the time. I can't stand the way like a shirt feels on me. I've gotten used to hoodies, and I almost always wearing one. I don't like the way like a t-shirt like drapes back and forth. It drives me nuts. So if you're kind of wondering why you always see me in a hoodie, it's because when I wear it, it stays still. And it stops me from having to deal with all those pins and needles just like making me feel like something's crawling around on me. So, when you watch these videos and I'm always moving, I'm always twitching, don't worry, I'm not a junkie, I'm not on drugs or like Tweaky the friggin' meth head or something. No. I'm just dealing with issues, people. Not just not those kind of issues. She's over here cracking up. But so I've been dealing like just dealing with pain for a long time. So like when it comes to like something that might break a bone, I really don't care. Like it doesn't really mean much to me. Like I've gotten into a lot of fights, mainly because threatening me with like punching me, like, oh dear, you're gonna threaten me with a good time, like, it doesn't mean anything to me, because just walking up a set of stairs hurts more than you could do with a baseball bat, you friggin' idiot. Like, I'm not always quite right in the head, but then again, I've had a lot of head trauma. So, if I seem a little off, it's because I'm a little off. I mean, but, why am I, like, you might ask yourself, well, why are you always smiling? It's because I know how lucky I am. I know how good I got it. You know? Every day I get up and I can move and I can walk. It's a gift from God. Like, I'm not disabled, you know? And I'm not willing to say that I'm, like, not able-bodied. I'm not willing to. Do I probably have more medical reason to be on disability than most of the people on disability? Probably. Don't care. Still not going on it. Because, like, I'd have to say that I'm not able-bodied. No. Can't do it. Won't do it. Too thick-headed. You know? It's just the way it is. You know? Like, I'm able to do any damn thing I set my mind to. And that's that. You know, I might have to go about it slightly different. I might have to do this or that. But I'm thick-headed and I got a will that's stronger than friggin' steel. So, you ain't seeing me give up no time soon. That's for damn sure. That's for damn sure. So, why am I always smiling? Because I'm happy that I'm on this side of the grave. And that's that. You know? I got my health. I got my little lady right here. I'm the richest man in the world. And that's all I got to say about that. You know, I really am. Doesn't matter if I have a bank account, doesn't matter where I'm at or what I might have in my pocket. I am absolutely blessed, and I'm as wealthy as can be. That being said, I think it's about time to start wrapping this video up. I love you guys. I love every one of you, every subscriber, every view, all of you. Thank you very much, and that's my backstory.
Later.
Later.